I am Andy Teach, host of Andy's Awesome Adventures, and welcome to Ireland. We are here at Blarney Castle. Going to be kissing the Blarney Stone shortly. We're at the North Wall.
Yeah, everyone's still doing that?
Or maybe a window and waterway.
Alright, we're outside the Blarney Castle. It's about an hour and a half wait to kiss the Blarney Stone. This could possibly be worse than Disney World. And the post office. And airport security. And we still have 100 steps to climb before we get there. This is the Earl's bedroom. And look how narrow this thing is. Okay, watch your head. Whoa. Little tight, little tight.
I'm just very tall. Can I tell you?
Well, you're as tall as a leprechaun.
Yeah, well.
Alright, we're climbing up the stairs in this very narrow corridor. And there are some rules here we have to follow. Alright, this is the courtyard of Blarney Castle. And this is the end of the line where they kiss the Blarney Stone. You gotta lay on your back. And yeah, but it's pretty quick. And the reason people kiss the Blarney Stone is it gives you the gift of eloquence, the gift of gab. It's supposed to make you a better speaker. Of course, it's the most unhygienic rock in the world. I think I'll pucker my lips when I kiss it. Over there. Over there.
What's over here?
I kiss the bottom stone. On the bottom? Just stay back. Hold the bottom hand. And kiss the bottom stone. Come on.
You're just not right there. I don't know if I can do it.
You can do that. It's easy.
That was next. I grab this and this.
Thank you. What?
See.
Oh.
Stay back. Hold the bottom hand jack. Head down.
Oh, the hands are slippery.
That was next. There you are, sir. Thank you.
I don't know if I'm ready for this.
Not get away.
Lauren, you got it.
You're ready. Just do it. It's quick. It's quick and painless.
Do it, Lauren.
Wait!
Just hold the bars.
Let's go back. You're fine. Nobody's going anywhere.
He's gonna
I don't envy your job.
Oh my god!
just do it. No pressure.
Wait, my neck is not that long.
Keep going. Go
Okay.
back. There you go.
Well, after successfully kissing the Blarney Stone and obtaining the gift of eloquence, it is time to say goodbye to Blarney Castle. Until 1922, Dublin Castle was the seat of the United Kingdom government's administration in Ireland, which lasted 800 years. Most of the castle dates from the 18th century, though a castle has stood on the site since the days of King John, the first Lord of Ireland in the early 13th century. Originally built as a defensive fortification for the Norman city of Dublin, it later evolved into a royal residence, resided in by the Lord Lieutenant of Ireland, or Viceroy of Ireland, the representative of the monarch. Over the years, Parliament and law courts met at the castle before moving to new purpose-built venues. It also served as a military garrison.
Raised on songs and stories, heroes of renown, the passing tales and glories that once was Dublin town. The hallowed halls and houses, the haunting children's rhymes, that once was Dublin city in the rare old times. Ring-a-ring-a-rosy, as the light declines, I remember Dublin city in the rare old times.
We are here at Kilkenny Castle, about to take probably a self-guided tour, although you can take a guided tour, but I don't think we have the energy to do a guided tour, so we're just going to do our own thing. We're in the courtyard of the castle, Kilkenny Castle.
Family, 20-year-olds.
All right.
Adults and children, 6 to 18. Yep. Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're at Rock Castle in Killarney. There it is. Shannon. Shannon. And we are here at the Rock of Cashel. And we will be taking a tour in a few minutes. Just started drizzling, typical Irish rain.
Do we need another umbrella? I'm good.
All right, let's roll.
We'll roll when Andy's Awesome Adventures is done
Fine.
filming. Okay, now we can roll.
It's good, trust me. No, trust me.
Well, you're late.
Welcome to the Rock of Cashel. It is great to see you all here today. My name is Sandra. I'm going to give you a guided tour of the site, and we have 5 buildings here at the Rock of Cashel that we're going to take a look at this afternoon. The buildings we have here all date from 1101 or later, but this site was initially established as a royal site in the year 370 by Conall Cork, who was the King of Munster at the time, and it remained a royal site or the seat of kings until one of the kings here gave it as a gift to the church in 1101. At that point it became a religious site until the last bishop in turn decided to leave the Rock of Cashel in 1749. So we have two distinctive periods in the history of the site, the early royal period and the later religious period. Now during that early royal period there were a couple of significant events that took place here. The first of those was the coming of St. Patrick to the Rock of Cashel in the year 450. Now I'm fairly sure you've all heard of St. Patrick. He brought Christianity to this country. Before the arrival of St. Patrick there were people here really who never heard of Christianity. Now St. Patrick himself, strictly speaking, was not really Irish. We believe that he was the son of a Roman soldier born in England. When he was a youth of 16 he was taken captive by Irish pirates raiding the west coast of England and brought here to Ireland as a slave, and he worked here for several years tending the sheep of an Irish chieftain. Eventually he managed to escape. After that he went to France where he studied for the priesthood and later became a bishop. But he always kept in mind that someday he'd return here to Ireland and convert the Irish to Christianity. We believe he came back to this country in 432, but it was another 18 years before he made his way here to the Rock of Cashel in 450. And when he came here he baptised the king, Angus, and his children on the site in that year. There's a very old story about the baptism of King Angus. If you have guidebooks you might know it already. It's said that during the baptismal ceremony St. Patrick had with him his bishop's staff or crosier, which he was holding in his left hand, and he was saying to the king, "I baptise you in the name of the Father, the Son and the Holy Spirit," and at that point he went to stick his staff in the ground, but apparently he accidentally stuck it in the king's foot by mistake. Now the king, we're told, said nothing, and St. Patrick didn't even realise what he'd done until some time later. When he did, he said to the king, "Well, why didn't you say anything?" The king replied that he thought it was all part of the baptismal ceremony. So he did get off to quite a bad start here. Strangely enough, it didn't deter the rest of the population. They followed the example of their king, and they too converted to Christianity. Now in the 10th century, one of Ireland's best known kings came to Cashel. He was a king called Brian Boru. Have you heard that name? Yeah. But he's our best known king here in Ireland. And we remember Brian Boru for the many battles he fought against the Vikings who were in Ireland during his lifetime. By then the Vikings were here. They were making regular attacks on Cashel from their base in Limerick, and the last Donagh king here was doing nothing to protect the local people from those Viking attacks. So a young man, Brian Boru, and his elder brother Mahan, they saw that, they saw the weakness and unpopularity of the king here. They thought it might find their opportunity to come here and to take the crown of Munster away from him. So they came here, they challenged him in battle against the local people who didn't support him. They defeated him relatively easily. Now it was the elder of the two brothers, Mahan, who became king here first of all, but Mahan died 2 years later during a battle, and it wasn't until Mahan died that Brian Boru took over as king. But it was Brian who really went on to make his mark on our history here in Ireland. He was the first king here at Cashel to be crowned High King of all Ireland. Because in those days Ireland was divided into regions. Each region had its own king, and there was a High King over all those kings. Brian Boru was the first one to be crowned High King of Ireland in the year 1002. He went on to fight many battles against the Vikings after that, culminating in the Battle of Clontarf in 1014. Now at Clontarf the Irish finally defeated the Vikings. That was the end of the Viking stronghold in Ireland. Unfortunately for Brian Boru, it was also the end of his life. He died just after the battle when a fleeing Viking stabbed him whilst he was in his tent. One of his sons and his 15-year-old grandson also died at the Battle of Clontarf. But his family remained on in power here at the Rock of Cashel, and in 1101 it was his great-grandson, a king called Murtha O'Brien, who decided to give this site as a gift to the church. For whatever reason, everything changed in 1101. This became a church site, and the church embarked on a building programme constructing new stone buildings. 5 of them still survive today. We have 2 12th century buildings, the Round Tower and Cormac's Chapel. We have 13th century Gothic Cathedral, a 15th century square tower house, and the 15th century restored Hall of Thinkers Cormac. Inside you can see a 13th century Gothic Cathedral built of limestone. Now the whole of the Rock of Cashel sits on an outcrop of limestone. Dig down here, you will hit solid rock. So most of these buildings were constructed from the local stone. Now, to the left of this doorway here you can see a 15th century square tower house. There are many 15th century square tower houses still to be seen around Ireland, thousands of them. These were defensive buildings really, built by the wealthier families to protect themselves and their possessions. They had very thick walls, very narrow windows to make it more difficult for attackers to gain entry. Most of them had 4 wooden floors. You can see this one also had a stone floor. Now there were many battles fought on this site, so for safety and security the bishop lived on the upper floors. On the lower floors there were servants and other family members living here. Here on the ground beside this building you see a large piece of stone that simply fell out of the side of the building during a storm 200 years ago. It's been there on the ground ever since. Originally it had 4 wooden floors inside, they've long since perished, it's just an empty cylinder now. The door to the tower is at the other side, very high up from the ground, about 12 feet. So they used a ladder to get into the tower and they used rope ladders to go from floor to floor. Now at the top of the tower there you can see a conical roof, and underneath that roof there are 4 windows looking out at each of the 4 directions, north, south, east and west. Towers were probably used mainly for ceremonial purposes, to mark the site out as a religious site as opposed to a royal site. And they would ring bells from the top of the tower here, from the windows, to draw people to services or other events taking place here at the Rock of Cashel. So that's the Round Tower 1101. 71 by a gentleman called Vincent Scully as a monument to his family. The cross was once the largest Celtic cross on the site before being damaged in a storm, like many things here at the Rock of Cashel. It's not that old, but the graves itself underneath are a lot older. They date from the 15th century.
Pictures more important, right? This is a really cool picture.
There's a castle here. So here we are now inside the cathedral. And in Dunguaire Cathedral there you have the bishop's residence, which I spoke to you about earlier. And I mentioned that he lived on the top floor of this 15th century square tower house. Now to get to his rooms on the top floor you climb an internal staircase inside the wall here, past the first doorway and past the second window. Now inside the second window there's a hole with some light coming through. Can you see that? Well, that's what we call a murder hole. So if an attacking army was making its way up the staircase there to try and get to the bishop's room to the top floor, they'd throw down boiling water, hot oil, stones or whatever they could get their hands on to get up the staircase there. We're standing between 2 very old tombs here. On the right we have the Saul family tomb. You can see the date at the top right hand side, 1574, and on the left we have the Pierce family tomb.
Thanks for ruining the tour.
What was it?
It's a tomb.
We just sat on it.
You disturbed the dead bodies. Thank you.
Very good tour beneath the tower, and you can get a better look around. You can see there are passageways inside the wall. Standing again between 2 old tombs. On my right is the tomb of the Bishop Morris Hamilton. On my left we have the tomb of the Bishop Milo McGrath. Milo McGrath was a somewhat controversial bishop in this area. He started out as a Catholic but later converted and became a Protestant. However, by the time he died in 1622, he was aged 100 and had been bishop here for 50 years by that time. Up here to my left there you can see a rectangular shaped window, and that's what we call locally the leper's squint. So called because when this church was built, leprosy was still a very prevalent illness here, not just in Ireland but all over Europe. People suffered from that disease. Generally speaking, people didn't want to mix with lepers. They were worried about catching the disease from them. So they were looked after, usually by the monks, in leper hospitals outside the main urban areas. There were 2 such leper hospitals in the town of Cashel. However, from time to time, those people came here to the Rock of Cashel to go to Mass and receive the sacraments. But when they came here, they didn't sit in the main part of the church with everybody else. They remained on their own to this side of the building, and they watched the service through the window, which became known as the leper's squint. So that's why you have this building here. Now in terms of events that took place here, I suppose the worst moment in the history of this church came about in 1647. In September of that year, parliamentarian forces under the leadership of a man called Lord Inchiquin attacked the town of Cashel and a battle ensued. After 2 days of fighting, the townspeople fled to the rock seeking refuge. Fighting continued here for about another 2 days. The people of Cashel locked themselves into the cathedral here to try and escape the onslaught. Now the attacking forces were unable to break down the doors, which were very strong and had been barricaded, so instead they broke the glass windows, came in through the windows, killed everybody who was still alive in the church at that time, set it on fire. So it was very badly damaged during that attack, which became known as the sacking or the massacre of Cashel. Okay, everybody, so here we are now inside Cormac's chapel. It was built in 1127 by a bishop called Cormac McCarthy. He was both a bishop and a king here. He built this church mainly for his own private use, however it was used as the coronation church for the kings of Munster for some time as well. Built in the Romanesque style, you can see straight away all the arches are rounded and have these chevrons or zigzag patterns. That's a typical feature of the Romanesque style of architecture. You can see there's a lovely barrel vaulted ceiling. That's also typically Romanesque as well. Now, in terms of the layout of the church, we're standing now in the nave area. In front of us, there's a small choir area. Now, Cormac McCarthy didn't survive very long after the construction of this building. He died about 2 years later. We have to remember it took quite some time. 7 years to build Cormac's Chapel, 30 years to build each of the two faces of the cathedral next door. So many people who started work on the construction of these buildings didn't survive to see how they turned out. But they have left us a great legacy in the form of the 12th century frescoes on the choir area of the church. And these were painted here in preparation for the visit of King Henry II of England to the Rock of Cashel in 1172. So they are very old, but they are very badly damaged also. That's because during the 16th century Reformation of the church, they were covered over at that stage with layers of paint and plaster. And of course they've been covered up because the church reformers in those days, they thought it was sinful to have highly decorated churches. They thought simplicity was a more Christian version, where they thought that carving scary heads in and around a building would frighten away evil spirits. We'll go outside and we'll gather briefly out there before we move on to the whole of the
Coming up on the right here, you have the ruins of another castle. It's called Shannon Wickaninish Castle, and it dates back to the 16th century. It's one of 3 castles, indeed, built by a local family at the time here, the O'Loughlin's. That is called Doonagore Castle, and it dates back to the 17th century. Most people call it Dublin Castle. You can see there in the distance.